Coming up on Valley News Now, just into our newsroom, we're learning more details about a weekend stabbing in Moorhead. All details from today's released court documents.
Absolute madness this weekend in sports. The men's team, the Bison, now heading to March Madness. Women's side, not as celebratory, but our own McKenna Wright has got us covered, giving us an overview, the latest from this game. She was there. We'll have an update.
And speaking of sports, it's finally here. NDSU football's first schedule as members of the Mountain West Conference. Find out who they're playing and when coming up. Valley News Now is live. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into your Valley News Now digital update. I'm Devin Fry, bringing you the latest that we've been working on in the Valley News Live newsroom today and beyond. We're going to start with a hot topic. Yeah, get it? See what I did there? Hot, because I guess 30 degrees isn't hot, really, but relatively to what we normally have. Around this time of the year, almost 30 degrees. It's a hot topic. An active week is ahead for our region, though, according to our first alert storm team. Snow showers possible as soon as this evening. Another round expected Tuesday. Some areas in the southern areas of our viewing area I said area a lot there. Some areas to the south could see it up to 2 inches of accumulation by the middle of this week. But y'all don't want to hear it from me. As a matter of fact, let's hear from our first alert storm team right now. It's Summer Schnellbach joining us today for what we can expect with this weather system moving in here after the lovely conditions we saw this weekend.
I'm meteorologist Summer Schnellbach, and our active pattern is starting this week. We talked about it last week. We're coming off of a spring-like weekend. Some changes are here. We currently have an area of snow moving in kind of along the I-94 corridor from the west to the east. That'll bring some light accumulations to parts of the Southern Valley this evening and into tomorrow. Then tomorrow, another round of snow mostly misses us to our south and east, but also tracking another area of light snow. That could bring some light accumulations along the international border in northeastern North Dakota. Wednesday brings a bit of a break, but it's not over yet because Thursday we called a first alert weather day. Models still not quite in agreement on the track or intensity, but we're expecting some snow and some potential wintry mix on Thursday, and the potential's there for some wind too. So that's something we're watching into Friday. And then we've called another first alert weather day for Saturday. Saturday looks to be more impactful for more areas of the valley, but both will bring potential impacts for travelers. But Saturday is the one that has our attention right now, as perhaps bringing some more snow accumulation and some more wind. We'll break down that full forecast for you tonight on Valley News Live.
Thank you so much, Summer, for that report. Make sure to have your Valley News Live weather app handy. We're also going to be on the air at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 for your very latest on what you can expect from this weather system. As a matter of fact, I know Russ Thomas was just on our streaming services just a little bit ago with an update. Him or Joseph, whichever one is doing it today, will be on at 7 on our streaming services, as well as we continue to expand our growing digital media empire here on Valley News Now. You'll love to see it. Now, let's get into some of the headlines that we have today coming from the Valley News Live newsroom. Busy Monday. A Moorhead man's behind bars after authorities say he stabbed another man in the head with a butcher knife inside an apartment early Sunday morning. Dallas J. White faces a felony charge of second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon. According to court documents, White had been arguing with his girlfriend before leaving and returning to the apartment visibly upset without her. He then entered the kitchen, approached the victim from behind, grabbed his head, and stabbed him. The victim suffered lacerations on the top and back of his head and was taken to a hospital emergency room. White told investigators that he grabbed the knife because he believed the victim was about to reach for it first. He is currently in custody at the Clay County Jail. A conviction carries a maximum sentence of 7 years in prison. Now, I do want to mention this was something that we had seen reports of early over the weekend. We had reached out. We hadn't gotten any word on the incident yet, but we did get these court documents filed today. So the very latest there on a stabbing incident that I'm sure some of you watching this on Facebook may have heard of before we were able to report on it. Let's go up to Grand Forks now. 2 men up there are facing multiple felony charges after deputies say they were caught burglarizing a home in the middle of the night. Cedric Allen Peltier, who's on the left side of your screen, I believe, and Eli Boganovich were arrested Saturday night after a Grand Forks County deputy spotted an open garage door and a suspicious van parked nearby. Peltier fled on foot but was caught about 50 yards away. He was wearing a black snowsuit and an orange mask covering his face. Boganovich crawled out of the garage and fled into a tree line before being picked up by a vehicle and later arrested. A search of the van turned up stolen property, marijuana, and drug paraphernalia that tested positive for methamphetamine residue. Both men face multiple felony charges, including nighttime burglary, theft, and drug possession. It's a laundry list of charges. You can find the full list if you're interested on this story on our website right now, valleynewslive.com. Just one more court filing to get to today. This one, a guilty plea, I should say. A Fargo man has pleaded guilty to 2 felony charges related to the possession and distribution of child sex abuse material. Gabriel McBride entered guilty pleas Monday to promoting a sexual performance by a minor and possession of certain materials prohibited. Investigators say the case began after a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in 2024. A search of his apartment turned up multiple cell phones containing this material. He had previously pleaded not guilty to both charges back in August. McBride is now scheduled to be sentenced on June 22nd. Mark your calendars, folks. The Fargo Air Show is coming back in 2027, and the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds will headline the event. We saw some reports online that we saw the Thunderbirds flying around as well. As a matter of fact, one person said that they had quite the close encounter. They said it rattled their office building a little bit there. We have some video from the last air show that we had here in Fargo. Of course, last year it took a year off, but now the show is set for August 21st and 22nd of 2027 at Hector International Airport. Organizers say the 2027 show will also coincide with the 80th anniversary of the 119th wing of the North Dakota Air National Guard, the Happy Hooligans. The announcement comes after a record-setting Fargo Air Show back in 2024. More details on performers, tickets, and vendors will be released later this year and in 2027. Speaking of things to mark your calendar for, Bison basketball fans might have a trip to they do have a trip to a national championship tournament coming up. We just don't know when that's going to be yet, but we'll get to that in a second. Big weekend in Sioux Falls for North Dakota State. The Bison men's basketball team winning the Summit League championship, punching their ticket to the Big Dance, the national championship tournaments. Some madness in March. Sports reporter McKenna Wright was on scene in Sioux Falls. Jessica Bringy visits with her to get that full story and a recap from a busy weekend for McKenna.
Big weekend in sports, sadness and celebration. McKenna, let's start on the celebration side. We're seeing a bit of it right here behind us. You were at this game, Bison against NDSU, and incredible. Bison pulling it out and actually now heading to the championship, the Big Dance.
The Big Dance, yeah, no, it started out their tournament started on Thursday. They took on Oral Roberts, easily won that. Then they advanced to Saturday in the semifinals. They took down Omaha, and then they drew the North Dakota Fighting Hawks on Saturday in the championship game. So for me, I was fortunate enough that I was going to be happy either way. I had a North Dakota team that was advancing to the Big Dance regardless. It just happened to be our Fargo team, the Bisons. This was them right after the semifinals game where they got to slap that sticker onto the bracket to show that they were moving on to the championship game. And it was a nervous one. I don't know if you can tell my nails. I chewed them off. I had a fresh manicure before I was so nervous throughout this weekend with all the Bison teams that my nails are now a wreck. But
that's being a female sports director reporter for you.
Exactly. But no, it was so exciting. This was the moment after they actually won the entire Summit Championship. They were celebrating, and they knew that we've just punched our tickets to the NCAA tournament. So an incredible weekend all around. You can see all the green and gold and Kelly green in the stands. The North Dakota fans traveled incredibly to Sioux Falls this weekend.
I was going to say, you can feel that electricity, the excitement. Winning this, you had mentioned, we were chatting a little bit earlier, this is the first time since the pandemic, and that all of these men are going to actually be a part of the Big Dance.
Yeah, so the last time that they were in this position was the 2019-2020 season, and They won the Summit Championship. They were going to March Madness, and the tournament gets canceled because of COVID. So none of these guys are a part of that era of the Bison squad, but except for David Richmond. He was there for that team, and now he's finally getting to see it through just with a different group of guys. So that was kind of what he touched on in that post-game press conference. Was he said, I'd be remiss not to acknowledge those past players because they're all part of their journey of how they've gotten here.
That's fantastic. Now we do have to talk about the other side, though, the women's team. They're not celebrating as we head into this new week.
Yes, no, they were picked all the way through. Number one, they were the number one seed, first time that they've ever been outright champs, and the number one seed heading into the postseason. They were a team that everybody thought was going to punch their ticket to the big dance as well. The SDSU Jackrabbits, they've been just the stain on this team's schedule all season long. They took them down in Brookings for the first time in a really long time. I think it was like a 24-game losing streak that they were on against the Jackrabbits. They took them down in Brookings earlier this season. The Jackrabbits came up to Fargo in later February, took down the Bison at home, and then they're like, okay, this is the time to best 2 of 3, and they lost in the championship to the Jackrabbits. Now, they did have an incredibly impressive season, so there's still a chance they'll get an at-large bid into March Madness. We'll have to wait come Sunday, but no, that was really, really difficult to watch. That was actually what the game that I chewed my nails off in was the women versus SDSU, but while the fans traveled excellently for the men, then there was a lot of NDSU fans in the stands for the women's game as well, but we were in South Dakota, so Brookings is only 50 miles from Sioux Falls, really, so it was truly a home game for SDSU, and that was just an extra bit of fire for the Jackrabbits to take that
Yeah,
win.
absolutely. Well, hopefully they'll win that at-large bid, but if not, we are still following the men's team. What can we expect from them next?
We can expect that we know 100% their names are going to be called on Selection Sunday. It's just a matter of what seed they're going to be in and where they're heading next. So that's kind of where we're at right now, figuring out, okay, there's this, or this. There are so many options of where they could be at right now. A lot of analysts are, putting their 2 cents in of, well, they took down this team, they took down this team, and their schedule was this, so they'll probably end up here. But it's really just a matter of, hurry up and wait now. Sunday is going to be the day that they're looking forward to, we're looking forward to, and that's when we'll know where they're heading next. But we do know we have more basketball ahead of us.
It's so exciting. And not only was it basketball, Devin, we'll wrap it up here, but we also know more action in Moorhead, the Spuds winning the tournament for the state championship for the second year in a row. Really exciting on the high school level. So much going on, so much to follow.
So much going on. Sioux Falls was incredibly busy because you're watching a game, the semifinals game in front of you while you have your phone out watching the Spuds in Minnetonka, and the Spuds were down 3-0 at the end of the first. You're like, oh God, I can put the phone down now. And all of a sudden it's tied 4-4. We're going to overtime. It's like, oh, okay, we're about to go live for basketball, but I'm trying to watch the Spuds game, and
you want to be there for everything.
You can't be everywhere at once. So incredibly exciting for all of our sports teams in the region.
It really is. We're going to have more action, more highlights coming up from McKenna in our later shows. Make sure to watch 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. We've got you covered. But Devin, we'll wrap it up here and pass that ball back to you.
We might have to work on your chest pass a little bit, Jess, but otherwise, the report was great. You just might have to work on the passing skills. Let's go ahead and wrap up real quick. Now, I do want to say, speaking of North Dakota State, we do know their first season of FBS football. Their schedule is now locked in. NDSU is going to start the year with non-conference matchups at home against Jacksonville State and Fordham. They open conference play on the road in Colorado Springs against Air Force. Their first conference game as members of the Mountain West Conference at home is going to be against Wyoming on October 3rd. Massive stuff. You got to be sure to check that out. The full schedule is on our website right now, valleynewslive.com. Let's really quickly look at the roads before we get kicked out of here for Valley News Live at 4, which we may have already. No, I don't think so. Let's see. Well, here's what the roadways look like right now. Green for the majority, which is awesome. Again, once you head out west, if you get past Jamestown, that's where we're running into some wet and slushy roads out there. Again, with the weather systems that we're expecting to come in, some snow accumulation, you do want to watch out for that. Make sure you have your Valley News Live weather app handy. Our First Alert Storm team is going to have you covered. Valley News Live at 4 starting right now. Get over there. Tune in if you haven't already. We'll see you next time. But for now, for your Valley News Now digital update, I'm Devin Fry.